Hello everyone, I'm Red Team Beaver and welcome back to day 16 of the Advent of Cyber 3 by TryHackMe. This challenge is all about OSINT, or Open Source Intelligence. Now, as some of you may know, I have an undergraduate certificate in cyber investigation, and during that academic pursuit, we had to do a lot of OSINT. So you're kind of joining my academic world, even though I am far from being an expert. However, today, I will have the chance to interview an actual expert from the field, and she will be able to tell you more about how OSINT actually works in a real-life context. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be at the end of the episode, so make sure that you watch that. It's very high value. So let's dive right into the theory aspects of this OSINT thing. So what is OSINT? Well, OSINT is basically open source intelligence. So we all knew that, and that's basically information that can be obtained from free and public sources, but it can also be used, like some places will not give you access to public sources without making you pay, but still I would consider that OSINT. It's basically whenever you can gather information from sources on the internet. That's how I see it. And basically, offensive teams will use OSINT to perform reconnaissance on a target, individual, corporation, etc. So what is this in a real-life context, such in a pen testing context, for example, or in a red teaming context? Well, for example, if you can go look at LinkedIn, for example, well, you can find people, employees that work in the company on which you need to do the assessment. So you find names, you can maybe find emails, maybe they posted pictures of their badges, and you could maybe like make fake badges using this information. That's OSINT for you right there. So OSINT is wide. There's courses dedicated to OSINT. There's various sources that you can look for online, but basically OSINT will usually be done on the ClearNet. For my part, for me, I usually use social networks such as LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, etc. You can find a lot of information on someone by knowing, for example, their username. So let's switch to the process cycle. So this is a more complex process cycle than what I'm used to. However, the most basic cycle I can tell you about is, for example, you have some basic tidbits of information about someone, for example, and using this tidbit of information, you find their Facebook page, but their Facebook page has a special URL that would illustrate, for example, a nickname that they use on the internet, a persona. Well, you can use this and then you need to repeat the cycle. So using this nickname, you can go back to the beginning and search for that nickname. Maybe you'll find a YouTube channel. Maybe on that YouTube channel, there will be comments about people that are like, oh yeah, that night was super fun. So now you know that these people are related in real life. And now from this person, you can find their Facebook, and then from their Facebook, you can find picture of your target, etc. So the OSINT cycle is basically I think this is a good one, like the second one of what I'm describing. So let's say that, for example, you have a client. Well, you need to do this whole cycle all around the place. And if you're just doing it for you, then you get a tidbit of information, you find more tidbits of information, then you use these new tidbits of information, etc. That's wild. This is more in a professional context, and I've never worked as a OSINT analyst, but overall, what I'm saying still stands true, but whatever you see on screen right now is better. So I briefly mentioned real or personas, such as nicknames on the internet that can be used. So yeah, there's different types of OSINT, and you can do some Google lurking. For example, if you are looking at a company and that company has an online presence, then maybe you can find some PDF files on their web server that shouldn't be there, and that would give you very good information. But still, you're using Google for that. You're not doing anything crazy. You're literally using Google, and there is a website, I do believe, by Offensive Security. that basically describes, the Google hacking database, and that's all about dorking. So it's from the exploit database, and that's the Google hacking database, and that's all information about what you can Google and get stuff. Be careful. Some of this stuff will be sensitive, and some people will be angry at you accessing this information. So I may actually cut this from the video. But yeah, so I am not responsible for what you're doing on the internet. OSINT the blockchain. So blockchain, of course, we all are familiar, at least in a basic way, with the blockchain, with Bitcoin, for example. But basically, whenever there's new technologies that come out, there's new OSINT tools that come out as well to try to get information from this new technology. And yeah, so let's skip this part. I will let you read, but let's go to the practical part now, because that's the very, very fun room. All right. So what we need to do is, we are a intelligence officer, and we need to find information about the Grinch Enterprise ransomware gang. So we need to find information about them. So we see that they have a letter, probably in Russian, that we can Google Translate. So let's go to Google Translate. As you'll see, I won't do anything accurate. Like, it's really, really not that advanced what I'm doing. So we are translating this, so we can now translate it. So what is the operator's username? Okay, so let's read. So important, your files were encrypted by the Grinch. We use the most advanced encryption technology. I doubt that. Contact your Grinch Enterprise operator to access your files. Your personal ID is this, and the operator assigned to your case can be contacted as this person, Grinch31, on all platforms. Okay, so that's interesting. So the operator's username is Grinch31. That's not really OSINT. We just basically decrypted the ransomware note. But now what we can do is actually start looking for Grinch. So let's make a new tab. Let's keep this translated. Actually, let's be even smarter than that and create a file. So let's do gedit note.txt, and I'll just paste it here. Great. So now I have a file, and I can now quit this. Okay, so we need Grinch who 31. So let's do a very quick research, but of course, Google will try to show us about the Grinch itself. So this isn't really interesting to us right now, but what we can do is actually put quotes around it. So that way Google is forced to show us results that contain the string Grinch who 31. But as we can see, there's nothing there. So what does that mean? Well, it just means that Google probably didn't reference the pages about Grinch who yet, because this is a challenge that's quite recent, I'm guessing. So what we can do is actually, they are talking about social media platform and where is the username associated with. So we could look for example on YouTube. So let's go to YouTube. And let's look for Grinch who 31. Let's do Grinch who 31. So just before you judge me, all of this is not stuff I watch. I never watch stuff on my VM. So you don't know my YouTube preferences. So Grinch who 31, you know, we see again Grinch. I'll have to censor this one, but we just see Grinch stuff. So nothing too interesting here. So let's next go to Twitter, which I never use, but sometimes I use it. That was counterintuitive. So I have a Twitter account. It's empty. Feel free to follow me at RedTeamBeaver. I feel funny saying that. So Grinch who 31. Let's save this. So we see that there's actually a account here, right? And that's TryHackMe's. So we know that's the Grinch. So what social media platform is the username associated with? Twitter. Great. So what is a cryptographic identifier associated with the operator? Okay. So what is associated with them? Well, so there's this thing, like this tweet right here, seems to be interesting. And they give us a link to verify that Grinch who 31 on keybase.io. So what is this? Well, it's to identify him to this account on keybase.io, which is very interesting to us because now we can link them together. And as you'll see, there's something on this screen very interesting to us. And so we know that Cringe231 is associated with this account, and we know this account is probably associated with our malware gang. But there's also a new account that we see, Christmas831. And also, we can see similarities between the usernames. They both end with 31. So let's look at this. So it's keybase.io, right? Because this unique string is associated with keybase.io, so that's how I knew that. And what is the Bitcoin address of the operator? So let's go on keybase.io, and that's actually their Bitcoin address right there. That's their public address. Boop. So what platform does the operator leak the Bitcoin address on? So let's look at here. That is GitHub, and again, same picture. That's always a good sign. So I'm not sure about this question. How does the operator leak? Where does the operator leak the Bitcoin address on? So let's look at, I don't know, the different repo, I guess. So there's two repos. There's Christmas Stealer and there's Chris Bash Tree. Ransom.cpp, and we see an address here, but I'm not sure that's what they mean. I'll try with GitHub. All right, so GitHub worked. That's interesting. So now we need two more of these. So what is the operator's personal email and what is the operator's real name? All right, so we got a lot of information just starting from this message, right? And this message led us to Twitter. Twitter led us to Keybase, and Keybase led us to GitHub. So now what can we learn on GitHub? There's nothing more interesting here. There's a device here actually that could be interesting to us, but it just seems to be a signing key. I'm not sure about how this works, but GitHub seems interesting. So let's go on GitHub. So we see that there's two repo. We see that this ransom only has one commit. However, we can find a lot of stuff from commits. So we see that create 3.sh was different than update 3.sh, right? So the same file was modified. So let's look at the previous version and see what changed. Okay, so that's the create, and then the update is what we want. So, and the update is actually that the Grinch deleted the real name. So Dante Eat with the email address. Interesting. That's actually very cool. So that's the email address, and the operator's real name is Dante Eat. The space. So just like that, guys, we completed the OSINT room. Stick with me. I will put the interview into RTB podcast mode so you can listen about real life OSINT stories.
I am ready.
All right. So hi, Maria.
Hi.
So we'd like to present yourself a little bit.
I'm Maria. I work in cyber investigation, and I use OSINT techniques to add to my investigations.
We have a couple of questions for you. So the first one would be, why is OSINT useful?
So OSINT is useful because people put all sorts of information online. So if you're trying to find somebody or find information, chances are it will probably be there if you look hard enough.
And we know that you work as an OSINT analyst. So how are OSINT techniques applied in your work?
It lets me find people behind data. So we use a lot of non-open source information gathering in our research, and then using open source stuff actually helps us corroborate what we find, and it helps us find the people behind the data.
That's awesome. And so let's say that some people listening are very interested in the OSINT as a career. How would they get into OSINT?
So the easiest way I found to get into OSINT is to actually use Twitter. Twitter has a really good OSINT community. There's a lot of names there that they do challenges, weekly challenges, they do geolocation, things like that. And they all help each other. And it's a really nice community. Everybody's very friendly and welcoming. I'd also suggest looking into Trace Labs. It's a crowdsourced like hunting party, and they do capture the flag a couple times a year where you help find information that they then send to law enforcement to find missing people.
That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
of course, we'll link to your Twitter in the description below. So if you guys are interested, make sure to poke her on Twitter. And thank you, Maria.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for watching this 16th day of the Advent of Cyber 3 by TryHackMe. I hope you enjoyed the interview. I hope this was added value for you. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to support me, the links are in the description below. Please like and subscribe. It helps me a lot. And I will see you tomorrow for day 17th. Bye-bye.